Welcome to Personal Mastery Training. I'm your host, Alvin Brown, former world class athlete turned entrepreneur and consultant. Join us as we learn from guests who have conquered their inner battles and share their journeys to success. Get ready for inspirational masterclasses and thought provoking strategy sessions to fuel your path to personal mastery. Let's dive in. Everybody, welcome to another episode of Personal Mastery Training, The Alliance. With my fellas here, we're back. I'm back. My boy's been holding it down for me over the last few weeks because it's been one hell of a few weeks anyways. I've lost track of time because almost feel like I've been at war, and intense 2 weeks I've been on. So today I'm going to bring the main meal, and it's a big one. And ironically, Raymond, we always have this in this group, by the way. When you start hanging out with a few people, you start syncing together on an energetic level, and you don't even ask anymore. Boy, how did you experience the same thing I did? You just synced. There's something about that. So Ray's wearing, if anyone is watching this, or you're listening, if you're watching, Ray's wearing a shirt that says faith, right? And family and football. But we're gonna focus on faith today because that's the main meat. Is my title for this one is Faith is Tiring. Having faith is tiring. And it will explain why many of us have a goal that we've been at for a long time with a lot of naysayers around you saying it's impossible. It's impossible for you to do. And by the way, all the reality, quote unquote, solid objective facts say it is impossible. All of it. But somehow you have to find something somewhere, a lighthouse, to hold on to. And it can get tiring because you're fighting, quote unquote, reality. And remember, most things that you want to create doesn't exist right now. And the way to get to it maybe not exist either. And the people who hold the cards may tell you it's impossible. There's a lot of roadblocks to getting the thing you want, whether it be in your health. You want to get better, but there's no real solution they haven't come up with yet, but you're holding on. Whether it be your goals that you want to achieve, everything says no. We've all heard of the people who have had pushed away. Their manuscript has been said no to 100 times and 300 times. And we've all heard about the Byron Nelsons who have, went into foreclosure 18 times or whatever the number is. And now, so it's that faith piece. So I'll give you the background a little bit without getting too personal. I like to keep things a little bit something to myself, to personal. But here's the deal. My son, my oldest, he's been going through some battle. He's gone through a battle over the last 4 years, I'd say, with cancer. And the cancer is a very rare one, and now it ended up in his heart. A little bit, around it. And he was doing great. Everything's going great. We've gone through a few battles of it. As you can imagine with cancer, you don't just ride that one easy. But we've been holding on. But this time, because of the heart, it affected his, he had a little bit of, it turned for the worse in a way, to where he had a seizure and his wife had to help him. So at home, and then, they came and so on and so on. Hug that boy, Ray. But so his wife had to help him. So here we go. The adventure begins. We end up in the hospital. And, it's because of the heart, it's taken him, he went code blue for a few times. So all around us, I've been intense. In 14 days, we slept very minimal. And then spent 24 hours at the hospital doing rounds. My wife, his wife, my family, everybody's gathered. We're all doing rounds at the hospital. Intense, if you can imagine those out there with kids, how intense that would be. Sleep, forget about it. You're just gonna just stay, because now you're his voice. He's been intubated, tubes out of everywhere. The whole nine yards. You can imagine. Intensive care unit. Doctors, what I found out, they don't give you hope. Their job is not to give you hope. Their job is to look at numbers and objective measurements and be quote unquote as real. They don't want to give you false hope, because this is intensive care. And I got the meaning of that when I was there. You know, they said something to me, and it really hit me. They said, "This is intensive care. You know that, right?" Meaning, yeah, this is like life and death, intensive care. This is not your regular ward, because I found out also that hospitals have different levels of care. I think we all knew that, but I really found that out. Intensive care is the level that you're intensive care. They're getting you from there to possibly emergency, like, and then from there to a room, and from there to their job is nothing else but intensive care. So now you're in this area where no one gives you hope, zero. The nurse, everyone there is not give you zero hope. So if you're asking them, is he going to be okay? No, nothing. Is this procedure going to work? Nothing. And their faces, they got paid for a pan face. They don't even nothing, zero. So you're holding on. You have something so precious as someone's life, your own family, and you're looking for some hope, anything, just to grab on to something. And they said, "No, nothing." What about this procedure that you're doing? Will it help? Maybe. Nothing. Like nothing. So in the storm, you're in a storm, a heavy, heavy storm, and you're looking for a lighthouse. Nothing. Maybe a dim light, but that's about it. What you got is in front of you. And now he's going into these multiple, they call it VTAC, which is, his heart, into these multiple attacks, tachycardia. Um, and so now they're saying, well, if he's nothing we can really do, we haven't got anything. We're just gonna have to, they put him on a lot of drugs to save him. This is intensive care. They just wanna, all they're doing right now is focus on the fire they have in front of them. Nothing about longevity, nothing about getting out of here. We want to keep him alive to push him on to the next one. So we're locked in. Locked in. I'm up there doing my affirmations. I'm up there doing my thing. I'm not taking my eye off him. His wife is right beside him. She's and again, I got a shout out to her, Shannon Brown. She was locked in. She never left. So if you want to test, and literally this is 2 weeks ago they got married. 2 weeks prior to this event they got married, and now they're locked in. So, we're watching this whole event, and I'm watching this as a father, having this faith, holding on. Yeah, it was intense. It was intense. I'm leaving out a lot of details, a lot of gory details, but so at one point I was exhausted. I was not so much from the event, because I'm prepared for battle. I've been through this before with this kind of intensity with my mom, and we made it through. But what I'm intense about is relentless holding on to this intangible thing called faith. Holding on to it, like when all around me, doctor would come in. He has a favorite doctor that took care of him through this process, and she came in out of the blue, out of her. She was off, but she's so connected to him. She came in, and I remember them calling us into a room, and she basically said, she threw her hands up, and her face dipped, and she looked like she was done. I'm like, wow, if she believes in him so much and has been his champion, and she's saying, we're done here. I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, no, no, no. You guys, and my wife's crying, and his wife is crying. They're hugging each other. I'm like, no, everybody just straight up, just let me be here. I'm hanging tough. I'm hanging outside the room. I'm watching this whole thing go down, and I'm holding on. They said they count seconds how long he's been out, and they bring him back, and it's been intense. So, that's when I realized when you're out there trying to hold on to something that everyone sees as done, they're packing up, the band's packing up, they're ready to head home, and you're hanging in there. That's intense. And that's when I'm most exhausted, because my faith muscle got tested, and it was exhausted. But here's the good news. I'm going to wrap it up with the good news. As of today, knock wood, as I do this podcast, is everything's back. Vitals are back. He's back on board. His memory and everything's coming back. Everything, because he's sketchy with some of the details. Obviously, he's been out for 2 weeks, um, close to 2 weeks. So now he's back. They're surprised at how well he's doing. I mean, we still have we're not out of anywhere. So send your prayers. But we are back and he's back. Today's boys are coming over. He's gonna watch some football. Um, he's gonna live his life. He's got it. He's more battle ready now to go and fight this commitment to beating this thing, and we're ready. So we got another opportunity. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave that main meal there so the boys can jump on this. But I'm just telling you, here's the thing: faith is tiring, and if you're holding on to your dream right now, and wherever you are in your path, and you got a little daunting, it gets a little tiring, just keep holding on, because especially if it's hairy audacious enough, it's gonna be tiring. So do what you can. And by the way, I also kept up my self-care all the way through. Every time I had a moment, I head to the gym. I knew I had to fill my cup. I had to fill my cup if I'm gonna show up for him. And by the way, the other thing I want to say is when I was strengthened and I had faith, everybody around me had faith. They were looking at me. I knew it, and they even said it. I had some great conversation with his wife in those dark moments, those nights when he's been sedated. We had some great conversation, and she said, I made it through because of watching how you were handling it and your family handling it. So she's now part of the tribe. So, anyways, I will pass the mic on that one.
Well, welcome back, brother. First of
Yes,
all,
sir.
hats off to you for, being the rock, in that situation. And it's so challenging as you mentioned, and so tiring when we're, leaning on our faith. It's very difficult. So as you were speaking, this is my most favorite quote of all time, and it reminded me of this situation, right? And it's Sir Edmund Hillary, first person that credited with summiting Mount Everest, okay, highest peak on the planet, making it back down safely to talk about it, okay. Him and his Sherpa, Tenzing Norgay, were the first two people to step on top of the planet. And before he accomplished it, it's a couple hundred years, people been trying to get up there, failed. A lot of people died trying, encased in ice on top of that Mount Everest. And there's something he said that I've just never forgotten. And I think of this quote every week. Every week. And he said, the impossible can always be broken down into possibilities. And that's what you've done with this situation, right? The shifts, even the medical staff. Hey, they're working on this right now. They're getting to the next step, right? What's the next step? I'm going to do that. I can't worry about, there might be 99 more steps left. And those are 99 other possibilities. But I'm focused on this one right now. And then when I accomplish this possibility, what's the next possibility? And what's the next possibility? And when we can do that, it strengthens our faith, right? And the Bible says the faith without works is dead. So we can't just sit back and say, I'm faithful. We've got to be actively working towards the goal that we're putting our faith behind. And the other thing I love about the process, and it's so important for us to fall in love with the process. Otherwise, it's too hard. It's too hard. Is when we put in that work, when we're putting in the work, we're leaning on our faith, we're actively leaning on our faith, meaning we're not just sitting back, but we're doing what we can do. We're creating those possibilities, right? When we are active and doing those things, then you get those two most powerful warriors working for you, fighting for you, that Tolstoy talked about. He said the two greatest warriors are patience and time. Two greatest warriors. They don't work with you unless you're working, right? They don't fight for you unless you're fighting. But if you fight, you put your plan together, they're going to come to your aid. With that, I'll pass the mic.
All right, nicely done, Brandon. You're on, brother.
Yep. I'm over here taking notes. Charlie just throwing out wisdoms and dropping nuggets. And so that's as with any storm, for the individual is heavy, right? And I think too often people sit back, outsiders, if you will, looking in to a storm. They're looking from a place of comfort and peace, right? They're looking from the stands, if you will. And I think about, the example you're given of the war. I just watched Gladiator 2 the other day. I'm a big fan of the first movie. The second movie I thought was incredible. However, you think I'm thinking about listening to you talk out. Everyone else is sitting in the stands at the Coliseum, right? And you're down there, your family, your son, battling it out. You're in it, and the storm looks different for everyone, and whether it's fighting cancer or financial issues or relationship or job or whatever the struggle and storm somebody is in. I heard someone say some years back that really impacted me, and it's an approach I never really thought about, or a viewpoint, if you will, an advantage point, actually. And because it is about perspective sometimes. And this gentleman made this whole sermon around the storm, and that individuals come to him all the time, and it's like, I'm going through this. You're never going to believe what happened to me, and I'm going through this, fill in the blank. And it just hit him one day, and he said, well, that's great. That's great. Because like Charlie just said, time and patience, pain is another one of those greatest, not just warriors, but teachers, right? And the individual his response was, "What do you great? Did you not just hear what I'm going through?" And he said, "Yeah, but you're not stuck in it. You're not stationary. You're going through the storm, right? You're going to come out of it, right? Now, the outcome of the other side of it, we don't know, but that's where the faith comes in, right? Whether it's the faith that an individual is going to get through that financial hardship, or that relationships will be restored or not, or or someone is lost. But the outcome, but you're going through it. We're not stuck. This isn't forever, right? And that's just what kind of comes to mind right out of the gate on this conversation. Faith plays a big role in the advantage point of where are you sitting in it. Where are you standing? What's your view of what's going on? And it's easy to get caught and wrapped up in the negative. And I'm not discrediting any of that. It's many of us listening, those of us on the show here, have probably been impacted by, cancer 4 or 5 times over, right? Statistically, it's unbelievable how that is just a horrible disease and evil in this world. But faith is so powerful, and is, in my opinion, one of the number one, if not the weapon of choice when it comes to these kinds of storms.
Amen.
So I'll pass the mic.
Yes, sir.
Hey, can I jump in real quick with one quote?
Go for it.
So Brandon was talking about, how different it is when you're in the arena versus being in the stands, when you're in the storm. It reminded me of this Brene Brown quote that I think is appropriate. She said this: if you are not in the arena getting your ass kicked on occasion, I am not interested or open to your feedback. There are a million cheap seats in the world today filled with people who will never be brave with their own lives, but will spend every ounce of energy they have hurling advice and judgment at those of us trying to dare greatly. Their only contributions are criticism, cynicism, and fear-mongering. If you're criticizing from a place where you're not putting yourself on the line, I'm not interested in your feedback.
Amen.
I'll pass the mic.
Love it.
Amen.
Love it.
Straight drop that mic.
Shout out to Brene Brown. That woman is something special. She is something special. Faith is powerful. The storm, man, all of this is so true. And even when we think about faith, guys, faith in what exactly? Right? So because we show up here every Sunday, or whether it's on the call or away from the call. Sometimes we gotta show up to other things, like Alvin did, right? We commit to our personal mastery and we develop faith. Not necessarily in that everything's always gonna go our way in this life, because that's not always how life works. What I'm seeing right now through Alvin, through his family, is, and we talked about being prepared a couple of weeks back, but faith in that when the moment calls for it, when the time calls for it, you will show up. You will do what's necessary. You might face a very, very, very mighty opponent. In this case, man, cancer, that's a mighty opponent. That's fierce right there. That's some violent stuff. But at the same time, when I think of this word faith, I can attach fierce in front of it too, in the way that your son's wife is approaching this, in the way that you're approaching this, your whole family is approaching this, complete presence, and love and confidence. And that's super important too. In something or in someone, you just believe in that person and you show up for that person, no matter what, no matter the circumstance. I have another wisdom, guys, okay, I want to share with you from Buddha. I found online. Because yes, faith is tiring. That's so true, man. When you're in a battle that seems like it doesn't end against a mighty foe, and they're coming at you with everything they got, and you have to be fierce back, if you're only even gonna be able to stand, you need endurance. You need endurance. And when I think of endurance, here's the wisdom I found. It says that endurance is one of the most difficult disciplines, but it is to the one who endures that victory, that final victory always comes. Endurance. In this life, yes, we develop a lot of things, but we're running a marathon, all of us, not knowing what's in front of us. When we sharpen ourselves, as you said, Alvin, when you stick to the basics and you make sure that you still take care of you, right? You still go to the gym, you still do these little things, no matter what, you continue to build on that endurance to show up. And what happens when you do, everyone else feels it, right? It transfers to everyone else. They get stronger. So I'm really focusing on that word. And it hits home for me. So many things hit home for me every single week. But as my son came up to hug me and you said, Raymond, hug that boy, it means that much more. Trust me, Trust me, I see how important that is every time I get a chance to do that, because we don't know. Because we don't know, right? And if I don't do these little things, then it's so easy for me to fall in that mindset of, oh, I'm on the call, you're making noise, you're doing this, right? My endurance is not there, it's depleted, my mind is not there, I'm not present. That's why we're doing all of this, and that's why I'm so not surprised at all at the way that you show up, okay? And at the way that your son is going to continue to show up. And man, anyways, I don't want to get into it too much, but that wife of his is really something. That wife of his is really, really something. That's endurance. That's sitting there being fierce, looking at the eye of the storm. Like Brene Brown said, it's hey, she's in the battle, focused on the task at hand. This is so important when we're talking about having faith. That's really what it is in the end. It's every single step of the equation. It's showing up where you need to show up. It's not necessarily doing the big things, it's making sure you do the little things and you develop endurance to do them over and over again. And that's how that even when it seems like you have nothing to hold on to, some way, somehow, you're still in the thick of the battle because you have endurance. So faith, yeah, it's really endurance in my mind. It's a lot of it, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll pass the mic.
All right. So I want some great stuff here, guys, and fatigue. Just remembered another few things. Making notes here. So lots of juice there, lots of material, and I'm gonna start with Charlie. Yeah, faith, breaking down your long-term goal or your vision or your into segments, and really being hyper focused on that segment at this time, whether it be writing that book, starting that business, but starting small. Um, keep pounding the pavement out there every day. Sleep, do your regular job while you're working on your dream. But step by step by step, breaking it down. I love the word too, actively faithful. Because faith is not sitting, when the book came out, The Secret. For some reason, a lot of people dejected that book, and I kept looking at, oh, you just sit on the couch, the person sit on the couch wishing, and the thing appears, the check's in the mail. That's not what they said. I mean, that's a summary. I mean, but everyone's always looking for a way to discount something. But it didn't say sit on your couch and hope and wish. They said visualize a check coming, but then actively do something. No one said sit on your couch and they mail it to you. They wish they said it. See, those who want to see it that way saw it only that way. Oh, they said sit and I sat here for 30 days, no check came. Well, okay, dude. All right, cool. So actively faithful. So actively faithful mean, one of the things I remembered, and ironically, I said this 2 weeks before this happened to him at his wedding. I said, I've quoted from a movie. It said, if you prayed for faith, do you think God, your God, whoever you speak to, do you think the greater consciousness is just going to hand you faith? No, you got to earn it. If you pray for strength, it's God Almighty, one of the Almighty movies. Bruce Almighty, one of those movies. Supposed to be a comedy, but man, I got a deep wisdom out of that movie, right? If you've prayed for strength, you think you're just going to get given strength? No, you got to go earn. That's how you build the muscle. If you want to look good in the gym, you don't just sit on the couch. You got to go do the work every day and build that muscle. So faith, active faithfulness. And by the way, Charlie, I got to thank you for that. Patience and time. When my son, I'm actually going to do another podcast at a later date on how strength is patience. Strength is patience. When my son was sitting with a tube in his mouth, and remember, he's watching TV at 9:30 a.m. on a Friday. Next thing you know, he wakes up in the hospital and doesn't know what the hell just happened to him. And he had a tube in his mouth. He couldn't speak to us. He couldn't communicate. And I kept repeating to him, by the way, son, two great warriors, patience and time. Two great warriors, patience and time. Every time he was come back out of sedation, two great warriors, patience and time. Just hang tight. We can't get this thing out of your mouth yet because everything's in time. They got to feed you. They got to put everything. They paralyze it basically, so he could move around, so they could not have another attack. But brain was awake every so often because he's tough as hell. They kept giving him so much medications to put him out. The guy wouldn't stay down, but it was a strength and a weakness. So every time he came to, I just had to keep saying to him, son, patience and time, just hang tight. Two great warriors. So, so I kept saying that to him. And so and Raymond said, faith in what? Exactly. Because when all around you, everything tangible that we believe in, because humans love this idea of reality. Everything you believe in, your house, when you look around your house and you want to make $1 million, or not, a million is nothing today, but anyways, you want to make a ton of money, and you look around your house and you're in your 800 square feet rent, knocking on the, hey, where's my rent? You're late, you're behind, right? What are you going to hold on to? Everyone has said, no, your talent isn't welcomed here. We don't need that. What are you going to do? What is it? What is faith? When you dream of something better, bombs are dropping around you. I don't know, something, right? You're in a neighborhood where there's murder and crime, and you're uneducated. Your parents didn't go anywhere. Da da da. You have no resources, quote unquote. You're holding on to nothing. And I wrote here, faith is insurance. We don't know. Raymond brought that up. We don't know what insurance. You don't buy it when you need it. You buy it ahead of time. You don't know when you're gonna have an accident. Which brings me to something that a quote, a wisdom that I've often repeated, and I'm actually gonna get it imprinted. You won't rise to the occasion, you'll fall to your level of preparation. Right? So if you think you're doing nothing to mentally, emotionally, physically to support yourself through the sunny moments, it's good now, I don't need to do all of that. Then the rain comes and you're broken, right? You will fall to your level of preparation. You will not rise. Don't get it twisted that you're going to find faith somehow and find strength somehow and find endurance somehow if you've done nothing. If you've just sat back and watched some Netflix. No, you got to be doing some work. Where's the work you're putting in? It's coming. It's not a matter of if. You're going to hit storms. What are you doing to prepare? Right? And it reminds me, Ray, when you brought up endurance. This was writing down at the end. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Exactly, Raymond. Raymond puts. I'm gonna let you comment on that, Raymond. He if you're watching or listening, Raymond put something in the comments here, but I'll let him go on that one. But fatigue makes cowards of us all. Right on, Brandon. So, think about that. When you're fatigued, without endurance, without prepping with this endurance muscle, you're gonna get fatigued, and it makes cowards of us all. Because if you watch boxing, the first thing a boxer wants to do is steal your soul. Right? That's what face-offs are all about. That's what the press conference is all about. That's what all that other junk before the fight starts. It's all about. It's about stealing your soul. Because if I can make you fatigue, it makes you a coward. So the work, this Sunday thing that we do, this Sunday wisdom, this work, this podcast, yeah, I'd like this to be all over the world, but I have faith. Is it where I want it to be yet? No. I have faith, though, that someone's going to hear the message at the right time. And I keep putting in the work. We keep putting in the work. Because it's when the timing's right. But we have faith and we have endurance. We're building endurance. Brandon, that pastor that said, that's great. See, what that pastor was saying to that person was, and this is something I've said, when people say, oh, so sorry this happening to you. Yeah, but we get a chance to fight. Trust me, along this 4 years, my son, we've lost a 22-year-old. We've lost his classmate from elementary school, 30 years old. A friend, 4 or 5 people. Yeah, we get a chance to fight. So that's great. That we made it through. We're here. He's gonna watch football today. His buddy's gonna visit him. He's gonna watch football today. We're talking about what we do next. And a lot of times when people would come in to visit him, some would come in with a sad face. And I wouldn't allow that. They come in with I said, this is not a vigil. Turn it around and come back in another energy, man. Don't look at what you see here. This is not reality. The tubes and these out, and they look bad. They look bad. Yeah, to the eyes. Because you got tubes out everywhere. And machine, beep, beep, all these noises going on. But don't look at that. That's not reality. That is temporary. Let's look at where we're going. And now go back and look today. No tubes, no nothing. He's good spirits. We're laughing, we're joking. Totally 180 from the 2 weeks ago. You just gotta, and don't look at what you got in front of you. Don't look at your 500 square foot apartment. Don't look at the bills past due. That's not your reality. Let's look at what we're doing. When people approach me, when I go back out in reality and I have to go to work, people come to me with their eyes full of water and they're coming, oh, no, whoa, turn that around, please, and come back in another way, because this is not a vigil. You're not coming to wish me condolences. Come back again. And it, they switch it around. No, let's turn that around, man. Let's go. We're still in the game. Don't cry right now. So, anyways, but again, one day we're going to talk about the idea that I've never seen anything more strong than silence, than patience, and his ability to endure waking up and seeing, whoa, I'm here and I can't communicate nothing. I was just watching TV. So, with that, I'm gonna pass the mic.
I agree. Wisdom as always. And one of the things that this keeps coming to mind is this, showing up for the fight, right? Showing up for the fight means that we have an opportunity to win, right? With the right attitude. And it's so easy as human beings to have doubts, right? And if we have doubts, then we're not going to fight as hard as we can because we don't think we can win. But when we believe we can win, then we can put our best effort out. And there's one lesson I think that's so important for all of us to consider, and it's this. I've been a boxing fan for so many years, and it's a great sport, even though it's not run well in this country anyway. It's not run well, and the UFC has passed them right by. But boxing as a sport itself is a great sport. And one of the lessons that's there is, over the years, so many boxing aficionados have said this, that there's someone that's a challenger, right? So someone in that ring has the belts, they have the title, they're the champ, they're big, they're scary, all this stuff. And the challenger's in the ring with them. And the challenger's not sure. I'm in here with the champ. This is a real fight here. I don't know if I can win. So there's some fear there. However, what happens is that sometimes that challenger overcomes their fear and they get brave. And one of the things I'll tell you is, once the challenger gets brave, they never go back. They never go back to being afraid because they know they don't have to be. And they see how much more powerful they are being brave. That is true in our life. If we can fight through the fear and become brave facing our challenge, you're going to understand and know how much more powerful you are. And you're never going to go back to that fearful state. You'll never go back to that because you know how weak it is and it's not helpful. And you're probably going to lose. And so that's such a valuable lesson for life.
Massive.
Is have the courage to be brave and see what that feels like. And if you do, you'll never go back. With that, I'll pass the mic.
Amen. 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 Beautiful point.
You got it, Brandon. You got it.
Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
All right.
There's a lot. I got a lot I'm thinking about, and just jump in there, buddy.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. That's for sure. Alvin, You said something. Let me go back in my notes real quick. Or I believe it's Alvin or Charlie.
All right, as you look, Ray, as you look,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something while you're looking. As we speak, I got a text that came in. It's now at my Eastern time, 7:58 Eastern time. My son sent an image of he's in a small room, and he just sent an image, and it says, "Find his wife." It's a picture that says, "Find her, Shannon," and it's a picture of her sleeping on the ledge of a window. It's probably that window ledge is probably it's where the heater comes out, so it's probably I'd say a foot and a half wide, and she's made a bed there where she's sleeping on the side of that window. All right. Yeah. So, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, I found it now, Alvin. You said that the first thing your opponent is trying to do usually is to steal your soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's to
Amen.
take your soul. Okay. We haven't really done a sports analogy yet today. Let's go into it. But when you first go into training camp, and I know this applies to all of us, Alvin, with boxing, everything. When you first go into training camp, let's say football training camp, what happens first? Do you implement complex plays? Or they call it the dog days? They run you to the ground. You know, they run you to the ground. They forge you physically and mentally. That's the base. That's the foundation. So you can be ready for what's ahead. So you can even, pretend to be ready to show up, because that's another thing. Like, sometimes people, they're like, hey, showing up is half of the battle. Yes, but showing up without being prepared, it's not smart. It's a really bad thing to do. If you show up in the lion's den and you never prepared a day in your life, it's gonna turn really, really bad for you. We have to be honest about that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the baseline, that's the foundation. And we used to always say, hey, prepare to win, expect to win, and then play to win, right? Prepare to win, expect to win, play to win. Preparing allows you to develop faith. Also, it allows you to develop belief because you're prepared. It all starts with this. And now, as it transfers to everything else in our life, what is our role really? If life is this game that we're playing, and we have to go from seasons to seasons to seasons in this life, some you're very high, some other seasons you're very low. You still have to prepare for every season accordingly. You can't say, hey, because I've done it one time in my life, I'm good to go now, I'm done. Everything will go on well from now on. Nothing bad's never gonna happen, or hey, everything's gonna always be good. If you're not prepared for every single season, if you stop doing the work, like I put in the chat, I wrote down, faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm.
So part of us really being here, contributing, learning, and growing starts with putting in that work. Yeah. Putting in that work. That's really part of the whole experience. Of the whole experience. I might be in a place where everything is good now. Hey, I still have to prepare so I can be ready for game time, for what's next. Because something will happen in all of our lives. And I'd rather be that warrior in a garden, that warrior in a garden than that gardener on the battlefield. And the worst part about that is because we can now do something about it. we cannot control the outcome always, right? We cannot always control the outcome, but we can control how we develop ourselves and how we prepare ourselves to rise up to the occasion, to be the best version of ourselves. That's what personal mastery is. We also talked about quiet strength, guys, or I wrote down quiet strength is the strongest. Isn't that so true? Isn't that so true? And you're right. When you look at these fighters, GSP was a great example to me. You know, you had, or Khabib, right? You have people talking this, talking that, talking this, talking that, very, very quiet, because in the end, all these words are not getting in the ring with you. You really see the makeup of someone because they're focused on the task. They're prepared, they have confidence, they have faith. And when it comes to the action, you see what happens. So I'm learning, obviously, I'm taking away so much from these conversations, but it brings me back to this where, yeah, quiet strength is really the strongest thing. And it's been a while ago, guys, Alvin and Charlie, but probably a few years back, I told you about a book and a movie that I saw. It's called Unbroken. Unbroken. And I won't go back into the story. I don't know if you ever read that book or saw it, but that's the definition of quiet strength for me. When I looked at that, because it's so easy to react to every situation and be that rah-rah person and show you're big, you're tough. No, his role, really his job, was to endure and to not let anything break him, no matter the situation. That's the only way he was gonna win. So he went through all these things, but he endured, and that was the biggest display of, one of the biggest displays of true strength that I've ever seen. It was quiet. It was quiet. And with that, I'll pass the mic.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's again a lot here. You know, the gardener, right? The warrior in the garden is just such a great analogy and visual for me. And Al, you said you were talking about faith as insurance, and I've never looked at it that way. But what an awesome perspective of, you know, you don't buy insurance when you need it, right? It's in advance. And I you know, Ray, personal mastery training, right? Putting in work. Well, it's training, right? Faith. What does your faith training look like, right? What is an individual's? What are we doing as men? You know, as the folks that get to hear these wisdoms and this podcast. You know, what are you doing from a training perspective, whether it's for your faith or to reach your goals, to get through that storm? What have you done in preparation, right? Because we don't always know when it's going to come. You know, sometimes we can see the clouds rolling on the horizon, if you will, and then sometimes it comes out of nowhere, right? 9:30 in the morning, hanging out, everything's cool, right, Al? And then next thing you know, you wake up and days later you're in a hospital.
Yes, sir.
And you had don't know where you're at. You're confused. But you know, that training, that faith, what we read, what we do, even how we help other people, right, can prepare us for what may or may not come. And as Ray just said, I'd much rather be prepared and be taking action, whether it's through patience or reading, you know, iron sharpening iron in a group like this, learning, just continuous learning, to be prepared as I'm sitting in that garden, right, tending to the day in and day out grind, family, life, etc. Because the storm will come. And fatigue makes cowards of us all. I think it's easy, going back to the Colosseum, you know, the war, you know, perspective of it all, you know, big picture vision. Sometimes, you know, we see you see individuals, and I've been guilty of this in the past for sure, win, right? You win a battle and you just kind of bask in that for a minute. You stand up on the podium, maybe you get your award, everybody's celebrating you, you know, little golf clap thing going on, and you just kind of sit there, right? I mean, that's so common, and that you know, you're tired from it. Right? You're tired from what you just went through, and you feel like, well, I've accomplished that. You know, I'm good. And I think folks do that, and you get not just get from the fatigue, you get complacent, right? And then sometimes we get blindsided. I think it's important to continue on to what's the next goal, what's the next vision. Where I was talking to someone the other day about I'm looking for somebody that's hungry, right? I'm looking for somebody that's hungry, that's ready to get out there and get after it. And they respond was like, you really don't want somebody that's hungry, because eventually they're going to get full, and they're going to be fat and happy and tired and sit back and get complacent. You really kind of want somebody that's got not just hungry, but a little greedy, and enough isn't enough, right? There's never going to be enough. They want to keep going. So I think having the mindset of keeping yourself in check, to not let the fatigue get to you, to not get complacent, and to not just sit back and be like, well, I've done that. You know, you think about Charlie, you talked about Sir Edmund Hillary, you know, what did he do after he climbed Mount Everest? Did he just pack everything up and be like, I'm good? You know, that wasn't the end of his story, right? He didn't just stop there. I mean, there's nothing higher, right? But, you know, he wasn't done adventuring, right? And continuing on his trek. So a lot of great stuff. I think I'll pass the mic.
Hey, I'll just add one thing real quick, Brendan, about when you said it's not enough just to be hungry. Ideally, I'll give a great, really simple example.
Yeah,
But
please.
my oldest son is playing basketball right now. Okay. And I only gave him 2 rules, really. 2 rules. Okay, that's the only thing he has to focus on. And after every practice, I ask him 2 questions. And that's how he can either push himself or learn something. And the first question I ask him is, did you have fun? And yesterday after practice, he said, yes, I had fun. And the second question I asked him is, did you try your best? And he was honest, because I was waiting for his answer. He said no, because yesterday I thought he wasn't running. He was just going through emotions. And then I asked him, you always try your best. That's the only thing, I ask you. You try your best. So he was full yesterday. He's like, oh, I'm in my shots. I did this. It's not about that. I don't even care about that. It's, did you try your best? Can you answer that question with a definite yes? That's a win. If it's a no, we might as well stay home. We might as well stay home. So it's good that he self-reflects on these things, and he can be very honest with himself. And the lesson comes of, hey, don't get too comfortable. Don't get complacent. Try your best. That's really the only thing. And I'll pass the mic.
Love it. So I'm just gonna we're getting close. So I'm gonna throw this in there. So I'll go back and look at everyone's. So Charlie, you said yeah, it's so easy to have doubts. Absolutely. That's human nature. We are built, designed to look at what's wrong. That's survival. That's how we survive. No one walks around, no human, no normal human, functioning human, walks around going, everything's great. Even noises I hear are scary things, people. No, we're made, that's why negative news sells. We're built, we're designed. But here's where the hack comes, which we do personal mastery training. The hack comes is hacking into that doubt and being able to assess what is good for me and not allow the doubt to overtake that. but that's the assessment that has to be made. And that probably comes from experience and time. It's difficult to turn back a champion, is what I said here, and you're absolutely right. One of the scariest people, and there's a better way to say this, but I can't remember it right now. But it came up in maybe it was a fighting thing, where they say once someone in any sport gets a taste of a championship, somehow they discover new strength, and it's hard to dethrone them at times if they don't fall to what Brandon was saying, the fall to the comfort zone. Because once somebody tastes the level of a champion, it's very difficult most times if they didn't just fluke their way in like a Buster Douglas back in the day of boxing. It's hard to turn them around because he all of a sudden discovered, I can do this. I got this. And it's very hard to dethrone them. So you're absolutely right. It's hard to turn back someone and it kind of goes with a quote by I think Einstein that said a mind once stretched will never return to the same shape. Once you experience something, travel the first time to somewhere, whoa, you can't turn it back. You already did it. What, right? Another wisdom that said, when you face your fear and overcome it, it becomes the foundation of your new strength. So what you used to fear is now your strength, your foundation, and you look to the next one. So, unbelievable. Ray talked about the dog days and in football. And yeah, you're right. The first thing a good trainer does is try to break you. Because if you can get through that, what else is there? That's why Navy SEALs, they whittle them down by breaking them down mentally, emotionally, physically. They want to see if they can make it through. Because if you're making it through this, when bombs are dropping and the enemy is shooting at you, that's where we want you, where you're still in the pocket. When this thing is coming out, because that's life. Life is, you're gonna have that warfare when you don't expect it. I was just about ready. I mean, we've been honed over 4 years with my son, but not for a sudden dip in the fire. When I got a call at 9, it was about 10. I was just about to start my client. The phone rang twice. I said, "Oh, this must be my wife because I forgot my keys." She's trying to tell me. I'll just talk to her after between. Then my sister called right after that. I said, "Oh, give me a second. I got to answer this." Boom. My wife's crying. Well, I'm in. The battle begins. That's it. We're on. So, meet me at the hospital. This is what happened. Oh, okay. Client, I got to go. We're in. Next 14 days or 12 days has been, woo, here we go. Buckle up. So, yeah, you brought it back, Ray. You brought it back. Ironically, at this time, I often wonder, sometimes people check themselves, go, what am I doing? What am I actually doing here? Why am I doing my job? Why am I here? What's on? And ironically, a client asked me an interesting question about my coaching and so on. And it gave me such clarity. So they listened to this. So I want to thank them. They didn't think they were asking me a big, deep question, but it was the right timing of this question. It made me wonder what I'm doing. And how do I offer them? How do I add value to them? And here's where I add value to you, to them, to whomever will come along the ride, is this insurance. This training that we do, it's like wax on, wax off. You don't know why you're cleaning my car. I'm giving you this wax on job. But all of a sudden you get punched and you do, whoa, my reflex. Wow, I see why I'm doing it. Now I'm blocking punches. But there's no other way I would have learned it without waxing on these cars. So every day we come here, we listen to this thing every Sunday, and we are here cheering and doing all this stuff. It seems like, well, is this pontification? You guys are trying to build, establish yourself a speaker. No, we're here sharing our life journey with you. So we can wax on one day when the punch comes, you're blocking it. You don't even know you're doing it. So, faith without works is dead. Absolutely. And Brandon, he had faith is a form of strength. Yeah, 100%. All right, we're building that every day. So Brandon, winning can lead to complacency. Oh yeah, we've seen it in sports, The minute a champion gets to the top, say a champion who, again, we talk about those who don't watch boxing. Back in the day, there was a guy named Buster Douglas, forever a contender, never a winner. His mom dies. He faces Mike Tyson at a perfect timing. Mike wasn't ready. He won. He beat Mike Tyson. First time ever Mike got knocked out. In Japan, he wasn't ready. He just came out of jail, I think. He was overweight. He totally wasn't prepared. But he fell to his level of preparation. Mike did. He got knocked out. Buster Douglas takes it, gets a lot of money, gets a big fight with Evander Holyfield next. First, I don't even know if he lasted first. I'm not sure, but he got knocked out. The real guy came. There's no motivation. He lost the hunger. Instant. It was a quick knockout. Done. You've never heard of him again. No one's ever heard of him again. But again, he has a perfect timing. Timing was right. Mother passed away. He did it for his mom because he got knocked down prior to knocking out Mike Tyson. But he remembered his mom. She just passed away, so he got up for his mom. So, yeah, sometimes winning can lead to complacency. Then I remember the way we get over that is remember that Les Brown said, the problem with us humans is that we don't set a goal too high and miss. We set it too low and hit. So we all have to have this big, hairy audacious. Well, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. But those who are out there making an impact, set a goal that's beyond your reach, that you'll never probably achieve. But it's a nice thing to get up for, to make an impact on the world. Because if you achieve it, actually, it's too small. Once again, dream bigger. And then Brandon gave this great wisdom that I've been hearing on actually a couple of videos. And kind of like this, you don't want someone who's hungry. You want someone who's starving. There's a difference. Hunger is, yeah, I just need a one meal and I'm caught up. Starving is, Jesus, I've been needing food for decades, man. I've been homeless forever. And I want out. So you want that starving, insatiable person. Hungry is, I can buy you a meal. Let's go to get I can buy you a sandwich. And you're full. Right? So Brandon, you're gonna say?
Yeah, I've always struggled with what was said to me about the greedy aspect, right? Because greedy has that negative undertone, but
right.
As you said, starving, it just hit me.
Mm-hmm.
So the difference is, having been an individual, I'm not going to get into all of it, but an individual that knows what it's like to starve, to not have food, right? And to go to bed hungry, not just
Every
once,
night.
not because I chose, because I wouldn't eat my food.
Right.
Mom and dad say, get to bed. We didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
That individual that's starving knows what that's like and will do everything to the point of anything to never go back to that.
Right. Yeah.
There's something that's a much better analogy than or way to look at it than greedy. So I appreciate that.
No. You know what, Brandon, to add on top of that person, Brandon, you said you've been starving, right? At one point in your life. Okay. The reason why, the beauty of it is, the reason why you'll never let it happen again is that's been starving stays in your mind. Hungry, it's temporary.
Yeah.
But starving stays in your mind, man. Obviously I was the same. And that led to that relentless need to never let my kids go back there, never let them see that. And also remind me every so often that when someone's good to me, I'm grateful because I do remember what it's like. And also the flip is also never to fear starvation.
Right.
Right? Never to fear it because you know it's a temporary state.
Yeah.
So
all of this builds a component of resiliency.
Amen. All right. Amen. And endurance.
Yep.
So, some great conversations here. Life. I'll finish with this one. And I go back to the wisdom. So many wisdoms left behind. That's why we stopped calling them quotes, because quotes are lightweight. Wisdom's heavyweight. The wisdom is this: don't get through it, get from it. I could have got through this now, but I'm getting from it. By these conversations we're having right now and deliberating on it, I'm getting from it. I'm getting from this experience. So either I can fortify me and fortify those around me. and those who are influenced by me are getting fortified by my journey, and I get fortified by yours, and so on. So, because if you get through it, trust me, it'll break you, because you just keep getting through the next one, never learning. If you're not getting from it, you're never learning what's the lesson in this. What is the weight? You know, it's like showing up to the gym and just getting through your workout, or you can get from it by being engaged in the workout, by feeling every rep, by feeling the growth, by enjoying the moment in some way, that the pain that's within it is somehow getting from it, and then you grow through that. So with that, my fellas, anything else? Any last words, or what's your word then? And we close it out.
I think my word this week is going to be perseverance.
Mm-hmm.
Perseverance, because again, that's active, right? It's showing up every day. It's being patient. It's working towards an end that we have in our mind, an end goal, and it's overcoming all obstacles. Perseverance.
I'm gonna jump in right behind Charlie with resiliency. Being resilient. Very similar words, similar meanings. But
Yeah, I'll jump in with endurance. Endurance. Yeah.
Love it, love it. And I will give 2 words, which I repeated to my son. 3 words. Would I repeat my son all the way through? Patience and time. Have patience. In time, we will get there. But that's a whole other podcast. Is having that patience, how much strength there is in patience. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So, my fellas, I want to thank you again for support through it, having my back through that. And well, we're not, obviously we're not done yet, but the clouds have released, some sunshine coming in. So I'm gonna make hay while the sun shines, and just keep rolling, right? Learn from my son. I put up a meme this week, says, when a teacher becomes a student.
Yeah.
When a student becomes a teacher, flip that. Because he taught me so much through this week. So I want to thank you. Listeners, if you know somebody out there who is fatiguing, you notice they're fatiguing, their faith is fatiguing. It is tiring. It is tiring to have faith when you can go decades and nobody believes in what you're doing. Decades. It's tiring. You have a dream, and everyone says you should be realistic. But the fact that you're listening to this podcast, or Zooming somebody somewhere, or around the world, you can pick up a phone and FaceTime somebody, or fly in an airplane, or enjoy lighting, and come on. Who said you could do that before realistic? So don't fall for that. So if you know somebody who needs that faith, and one word, we talk about what my mentor said, one idea well executed can change your life forever. One idea. Maybe we can give them that one idea to pull through, to push through their struggle, their battle. Share this. All right, until next time, you know what we say. Peace, love,
Love.
and a little bit of just enough.
right.
All right, awesome. Fellas, want to thank you, everybody. Peace, love, and soul. We'll talk soon.